Hey. So today we are recreating some viral protein ball recipes that I've seen on TikTok and Instagram. And today is the step 2 or the second episode to the protein bars and protein ball little experiment I'm doing at the moment. So let's get into these protein bars. No, let's get into these protein balls. So the first protein ball that we decided to recreate was the lemon cheesecake protein ball. I have to say this one had quite a lot of likes, and it was one of the first ones that caught my eye because it was something different, which I really liked about it. I really like lemon cheesecake as well. I don't know, just the video and everything, it just looks so amazing. So unfortunately they didn't state any macros. So with my last protein bar recipe video, someone commented about me using coconut flour with all of them as an substitute, and this is why they aren't working out the way that they should. I mean, so absorbent and it was affecting the recipe. So this time I'm going to try and stay more true to the recipes that are given. I mean, it was all an experiment and everything anyway, so I'm not holding too much to that comment, but more that this time I want to experiment by trying to stay more true to the recipes rather than just doing whatever I think would be better, because it's not always better. But for this one of the first ingredients we need, or one of the first ingredients we will prep, is the oat flour. I found some gluten-free oats. To make these balls you will need 100 grams of oat flour. I just had to get some gluten-free oats, and then I put it into the food processor and made it into oat flour as best as I could. 250 gram tub of Bega cream cheese spread. We don't have this brand here, so I just used a low-fat cream cheese instead. And I also didn't have 250 grams, so we just used the 200 grams in there, so that's fine. We'll need the zest and the juice of 1 lemon. You will need 1/4 cup of bee honey, which is 57 grams, 100 grams of vanilla protein powder. Mix cream cheese, lemon juice, and zest and honey until well combined. Oh fuck. So I just put everything into the bowl and then it says to add protein powder and the other powder until they're mixed well. Alright, well.
My bad.
You should always read the instructions before, and I swear I've read all of the instructions a few times for all of them, and I just decided for this one I'm just going to stick it all in because I stuffed up with the putting in of the ingredients. I'm just going to mix it up like you would a dough and just hope that all the ingredients will mix well. And here I was at the start saying that I'm going to stay true to the recipes and not mix them up, and here I am mixing them up. So I have a little bit of the skyr yogurt. I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there just to help add a little bit of moisture because it's a bit thick. I have to say though, I think it's definitely made it stickier, so success.
Great success.
Roll into 16 to 18 balls. I think it's looking pretty good, actually. Excuse the caked up hand. It's not bad. I'm rolling with it. Here are the lemon cheesecake balls. So we have 17, so that's pretty correct without the measurements. So we're going to put it in the freezer now for 1 hour, it says.
2 hours later.
Okay, so it has been a little bit of time now, and we're going to melt down the 100 grams of white chocolate and the 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and dip each protein ball evenly coated, top with extra lemon zest, and set. Looking really cute. That's them now dipped in the white chocolate, and they will go back into the freezer now for some time.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And this is how they look on the inside. Oh, the lemon is super subtle. Could have used a little bit more. The honey is overpowering it right now. That's the flavor I can taste. So I think if you had a little bit less honey and a little bit more lemon, but tastes good. This creator didn't write the macros for it. Okay, so because she said that she made 16 to 18 balls, I did 16 and 18. So if you divide that into 16, it's 106. And if you divide it into 18, it is 94 calories per ball. I got for protein, for 16, I got 7.5 grams. And for 18, I got 6.6 grams of protein per ball. For the carbs, 16 you get 9 and 18 you get 8. And then for the fats, for 16 you would have 4 grams of fat, and then for 18, 3.88 grams of fat per ball. That's just what I got for the ingredients I used. For a protein ball, it's okay. The macros aren't that bad, but the flavor wasn't really that great. I think that you can make better things and stuff that you would enjoy more, and that isn't a waste of time compared to this, but it's not that bad, so let's not be that mean. But yeah, I don't really recommend this recipe. I don't recommend this recipe. It was okay. And then the next recipe we have is the fudge brownie truffles. So she says it can make 6 large or 12 small. I went for the 6 large option. So I think that she also did it with the 6 large balls for the video, but just said that you had the option of doing it as 12 to make it smaller and more calorie small, and that each ball has 264 calories and 12 grams of protein per ball. And then I was going through the comment section, and she replied to someone comment asking about the carbs and fats, and she just said that the carbs were 16 grams of carbs. I couldn't find any information about fats. To make the fudge brownie protein balls, you will need half a cup of almond flour, half a cup of chocolate protein powder, 2 tablespoons, which is 28 grams of peanut butter, 2 tablespoons, which is 28 grams of maple syrup. I use the sugar-free maple syrup, 1 tablespoon, which is 14 grams of chocolate almond milk. I wasn't going to buy just chocolate almond milk for 1 tablespoon, so I just used oat milk. And I forgot to get some vanilla extract today, so I have this like vanilla aroma thing. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, which is 14 grams. And then they say specifically to mix with a fork. So that's what we will do. So mix with a fork because the batter will get stuck inside of a whisk until no crumbs remain.
Note that the texture will vary depending on the type of protein powder you use. Ultimately, it should be a bit fudgy and thick. If it's way too thick, you can add a touch more milk, 1 tablespoon at a time, but be careful not to add more than an additional tablespoon.
Because you want this to be thick.
Use a cookie scoop or your hands to form the batter into balls. The consistency of these is really nice. So that's the first little ball. The recipe will make 6 large and 12 small truffles. And so there we have 7. 1 extra. But so to make the outer coating, you will start off by melting half a cup, which is 75 grams of additional dark chocolate chips. I just started melting the chocolate chips on the stove top on top of some boiling water. Then coat the truffles in the melted chocolate and place on a parchment lined baking sheet. Drizzle with additional chocolate and garnish with cacao nibs if desired.
What time is it? That's right, it's nib o'clock.
Leave in the fridge for at least 3 hours so the chocolate fudge sets. Store in the fridge in an airtight container for up to 4 days, if you can even last that long. Fudgy chocolate protein truffle ball. But it looks on the inside. I guess it is giving me fudge. It's giving me fudge vibes. It tastes really good. It's a nice texture. The outsiding's really good. I actually really like the chocolate nibs on top as well.
These nibs are just too damn delicious.
Let's talk about the macros. So I think I'm just going to do it on 6 because she also did it on 6, and I think that just, it's going to be easier. So for calorie wise, she said 264 calories for 1 ball of 6. So if you made it into 6 large balls, 1 ball would be 264 calories. I got 232 calories, so a little bit less than what she did. For the protein, she said 12 grams of protein. I got 15 grams of protein, so also a little bit more. So for carbs, she said 16 and I got 9 grams of carbs per ball. And then for the fats, I got 14 grams of fat. She didn't say the fats anywhere, but yeah, it's not low in fat. So it definitely gave chocolate fudgy brownie batter vibes. It was good. So then we had peanut butter crunch protein balls. For this recipe, they claim that it has 7 grams of carbs per ball and that this recipe creates 15 balls. You will need 100 grams of peanut butter.
I am such a skank for peanut butter. It makes me go feral.
50 grams of protein powder. She used vanilla, but peanut butter flavor also works a charm. So 1/4 cup of sugar-free maple syrup, which is about 75 grams, or normal maple syrup as you like. 80 grams of soy protein crisps or rice puffs. I might just give this a little mix first. I don't know why that felt like the right thing to do, but it did, and now it's all clumping together, so maybe not. I don't know. So you want to start by mixing all of your ingredients in a bowl. I don't know how the fuck this is going to work, to be honest. Kind of working. I don't know why I don't just listen to the recipes and just follow what they say.
And I just decide to do whatever when it clearly says to put all of it together and mix, and I think now everything is like stuck to the...
Okay, this is what we're doing. Form into 15 to 16 balls. I mean, maybe if you squish them together, I mean, it works. When you compact them, they actually do stick together. So yeah. I apologize. Freeze for about 1 hour or until firm. And then when you want to make the outside bit, start off by melting the chocolate and adding some coconut oil and dip each ball into fully coated. Sprinkle with sea salt and let them set in the fridge or freezer and enjoy. Looking good. Peanut butter. Okay. It's an explosion of flavor. That is what the inside looks like. The ingredients that are all like stuck together, this is super creamy on the inside. It just like melts in your mouth, but the puffed rice kind of ruins it. I think you need to use maybe the soy crisp things that it recommended, but the flavors go well. It's really sweet. Too sweet. I don't really like it. It doesn't taste bad, but the rice bubbles, or the puffed rice, it again has gone a bit soft. Let's talk about the macros. So for 15 balls, she said that she had 100 calories per ball. And when I did it, I got 109 calories per ball, so pretty close. So she got 7 grams of protein and I got 5 grams of protein. Carbs, she said 5 grams of carbs, I got 8 grams of carbs. For fat, she said 5 grams of fat and I got 5 grams of fat as well. So the recipe is quite close, it's not that far off. So this recipe, it's the top liked video when it came to protein balls on TikTok. So this is the only reason why I wanted to recreate it. I actually can't really eat this recipe. I'm actually having to give away all the protein balls because it's just full of gluten, and I'm not allergic to gluten, but I'm very sensitive to it. So I just wanted to make it just to try it. This is the Bischoff protein balls. They have 0 macros written anywhere for this. I looked all through the comments. Everyone's asking about how many macros and what is the calories and blah, blah, blah. So this recipe creates 20 balls. And to create these protein balls, you will need 250 grams of the Bischoff biscuits crushed protein balls. So 250 grams is a whole packet of the Bischoff biscuits. So you'll start off by putting the biscuits into a food processor and crushing them. Set aside 4 tablespoons of the crushed Bischoff biscuits in a separate bowl. Add this to a bowl, bigger bowl. In a large bowl, combine the remaining crushed biscuits, 230 grams of light cream cheese. I only have this, so I only have 170 grams, but... 180 grams of salted caramel Mike's protein. I don't know who Mike is and I don't have his protein, but I've got 2 sachets. So it says 180 grams of salted caramel protein powder, but I only have these 2, which are 30 grams each, so that's 60. So maybe for the lack of cream cheese, it was only 60 grams, but it was more than enough for this. Then you will need 120 grams of Biscoff spread melted. Mix together until everything is well combined. It smells so good. This one she said to wear some gloves, and it was a great recommendation. Okay, roll into 20 balls. Perfect and shiny. It's so easy to roll, like compared to the other ones. This one is just so fast and so quick and easy. This was really easy to make. So this is what they look like. They Smell amazing. It says now that we need to mix them in the leftover crumbs that we set to the side. Roll each individual bowl into the crushed Biscoff biscuits and set aside. Press the crushed biscuits into the bowls. Drizzle over an extra Biscoff. Store in the fridge for up to a week. Enjoy. They're looking really, really freaking cute, I have to say. They were really easy to make, and I just think that they look very fancy. So we're going to put these in the fridge now for a few hours. Biscoff. As soon as I smelt it, I knew it was Biscoff. So with this, the macros, when I did the macros, I just divided it all by 20. So each individual ball has 114 calories, 5 grams of fat, 13 grams of carbs, only 3 grams of protein. So I just did it with the same measurements as what they wrote in the recipe, which was 180 grams of protein. So I just switched it, even though I didn't use 180 grams of protein in this recipe. We will just go with what she said. So it takes it up to 5.95, which is almost 6 grams of protein. So it does take it up a little bit, which is, I guess, good for the recipe, but then it has 15 grams of carbs. Yeah, and then I think for the Biscoff ones, this is just proof that you can't trust when they don't put the macros out there, because the recipe looks amazing, and I think that if you are just wishful thinking and hoping that something like this would be really high protein and you just follow it blindly, it's so frustrating when they don't state the macros, because they claim that it's high protein and then they put this recipe out there and they don't actually tell anyone how or why it's high protein. They just think because they add a scoop of protein in there that it's then high protein.
What I like to do, just for a little bit of taste, is add some protein. Then I usually add 1/2 of protein.
Or at least state how much grams of protein per bowl. It's not, you can't trust them. And for this recipe, I actually found 2 of exactly the same recipe. They have exactly the same ingredients, the exactly same amount of ingredients. Neither of them tell you the macros, the calories, or anything for them, just that they're vegan, high protein, chunky monkey protein bites. So to make these, you will need 2 cups, which is 400 grams of raw walnuts. And I only bought 1 packet, so I'm just gonna half it. 1 cup of dates, pitted. Let's give this a little blend. 2 large bananas and 1/3 of a cup of plain or vanilla protein powder. Didn't really give much instructions, they just told you what was in them, and then you just have to put it together and figure it out yourself. I mean, it's not that hard to figure it out, let's be honest. Okay, so how many does this make? It doesn't say. Okay. Actually rolling into a ball, super easy. So that is the base of the chunky monkey ones. They're looking quite cute, I think. I think I say that about all of them. Anyway, so these have to go into the freezer for some hours, and then we will dip them in chocolate like all of the other ones after.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
But we're going to use a bit of the dark chocolate. 1 cup, which is 200 grams of chocolate. So you can see that they're already sealing really well. I think that they're going to have a really nice crunch when you bite into them. I'm excited. The chunky monkey. It looks like the moon. It actually tastes a lot better than I thought. I didn't think that this one would be as good as what it tastes. I don't know, I just felt like with the ingredients it wasn't going to be that good. I'm going to be honest, I didn't have high expectations with this one. But it actually turns out really good. The dates aren't too overpowering. It's really sweet. It just works really well together, but it doesn't taste like a super healthy bar, which is what I was thinking was going to taste like one of those muesli bars, you know, but it's pretty good. It's just funny that the 2 girls, like, I just wonder whose recipe it was first, or who's copying who in this scenario, or are they on the same wavelength that they both thought of it at the same time and put it up together. I wonder if these girls have beef. What's the tea? Anyway, the protein balls aren't really worth it to fight about, in my opinion. I mean, they actually tasted better than I thought, so let's not rag on it too much. They didn't say anything about the macros, didn't even say how many protein balls it makes or anything like that for me to compare the macros and everything to. I just did it for 15 and 20 because there was actually a lot of mixture, so I feel like it's on the higher end of balls you can make with this. So calorie wise, for 15 balls it's 259 calories, and for 20 balls it's 100 194 calories. So for protein, for 15 balls you have 9 grams of protein. For 20 balls you have 6.75. For the carbs, for 15 balls you have 15 grams of carbs. And for 20 balls you have 11 grams of carbs. And then for the fats, you have 18 grams of fats for 15 balls and 13 grams of fats for 20 balls. I mean, this one's good. It just has a lot of nuts in there, so it's very calorie dense. It's very high in fats, and I mean, it's okay. It didn't taste bad. I was actually really surprised by the flavor and stuff of it. Yeah, I don't really like the execution or anything of this when they gave out the formula and stuff like that. I think it could have been done a lot better. I'm gonna give this one the lowest score just because 1, I can't eat it. 2, it has barely any protein in it. 3, I didn't think of a third. 1 and 2 is good enough because it's not really a protein ball. It's a delicious ball of Bischoff. Cool idea. It's interesting how popular it is online. I think it's just popular because it's maybe Bischoff and people like the brand. But out of all of them today, my least favorite was probably these two. I don't think that the flavor in this one was as good as that I was hoping it to. I don't even know what that sentence was. I don't think that this one turned out as good as I thought, or as good as I hoped it would, because I really do like lemon cheesecake and I was very hopeful that this one would be like a lemon cheesecake. It kind of has like an off flavor in there. I think it's the honey. I think the honey overpowers it. It needs a little bit more lemon than this one, but just simply because the flavors are really good, but I just think that the rice puffs don't go well in it. I think maybe you need to use like rice bubbles or use the soy crisps that she suggested. She also said the rice puffs, so I did stick to the recipe, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. This one is really good, however I don't really like the ingredients that go into it. I think the dates and the walnuts, it's just too calorie dense and it's unnecessary, but it does taste quite nice and the textures aren't as bad as I thought that they would be. So the winner is the chocolate fudge brownie. Oh, nearly dropped it. One with the chocolate nibs on top. That was by far my favorite. With all of the recipes today, it was really fast and really easy to make, but I mean, they didn't taste bad. I did like the protein balls, but I think that the protein bars were way better. The protein balls were okay, nothing against them, but I would say that the protein bar recipes that I tried, I liked them a lot more. I tried my best to stick with these recipes, I really did, but still somehow I managed to experiment and be creative, so I don't really know what happened there. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I think that the video was quite successful. Everything went really easy. They were all really fast and easy to make, so if you wanted to have protein balls, then I think it's a really fast and easy thing to do. But I definitely have to say that I do prefer more of the protein bar style more than the protein balls personally. Yeah, and I definitely did learn some things. I don't normally cook with or make stuff with dates that often, but I think that I would probably use them a little bit more maybe in the future with making certain recipes, because it was a really nice subtle way to add a little bit of sweetness without it being too overpowering. I definitely learned that I don't like the flavor of honey in these things. I think I'm gonna end the video there. So yeah, thanks for being here, and if you've watched this far, thank you, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.